So let's begin. Aligning the skull over the sit bones. And wherever your hands are placed, allow them to soften. And if we move inside our hands, so we're feeling the internal space of our hands, feel the wrists are continuous with the palm. And the space of the wrist is continuous with the forearm. And feel the elbow open and relax. By this simple gesture of release, the shoulder relaxes. So for our breath work today, we'll be working Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati, short, sharp exhalations. We can leave the legs crossed exactly as they are. Feel the origin of the pump below the navel. We'll do about 40 pumps. So when you're ready, please begin. After those 40, place the soles of the feet together, and we'll work together a round of Uddiyana. Set the fingertips behind the hips, inhaling. And feel that breath reaches the pelvic floor. Feel that breath reaches the top of the lungs. Hold for just a moment. Bring the hands forward, a swift, thorough exhalation. And I'm shifting, I'm moving my pelvis around my thigh bones to fold. Draw the low belly in. Draw in. So you're drawing away from the floor of the pelvis. Softening internally, lengthen. Don't just pull, soften. Soften promotes openness. And release. Resume Ujjayi breath. Leaving the soles of feet together, we'll just commit to a fold. And let me turn sideways just to illustrate. If I'm kind of just heavy and just kind of plunked down and seated, then any fold, it just kind of crunches up my organs and just rounds my spine. It's not bad to round the spine, but feel if with the sit bones spread a little bit, if the pelvis can shift almost as if around the thigh bones, and now the guts don't have to be so smashed into each other as we walk the hands forward. Might feel a little nicer on the back. I find, so just a kind of a personal finding, that my pelvis doesn't often move that way unless my feet are somehow interfacing or interacting with each other or the ground. So if my feet are just kind of limply there, there's not a lot of finesse or fidelity through the hip. Okay? Again, my findings, so your body might be a little different. And when we come back upright, extend or straighten the left leg. Keep that right heel brought in, setting the knees wide. So now when we fold over the left leg, it becomes a bit of a side bend. Okay. Now, if you feel a little bit irritated in the sacrum, then you have to adjust just by changing the hips, changing that right leg. Okay. But if I widen my knees and fold sternum over left shin, it's a fairly significant side bend. So you might want to just kind of feel for that. Right now, it's not about folding maximally. It's about freeing up and acknowledging the spine and all of the tissues around the spine to promote that sensory communication and response. So a lot of our responses are dictated by what we can sense. And when our spine is not free, our sensing is diminished. And release. We'll switch sides. So set the right leg out. Draw the left heel in. I'm setting the knees widely for that side bend effect. And again, if your sacrum is in a very particular state today, you may have to square off the hips, and that makes it less of a side bend and more of a fold. Okay. But I'm moving my sternum over my right leg. And then connecting to that Ujjayi breath. Breathe well, breathe deeply, breathe dynamically. We're active participants in this breath, this motion, freeing up the spine. Right? When our ribs expand, not just the chest, when our whole rib cage expands, those bones move and speak directly into the spine. We're getting little spinal movements when we breathe well, when we breathe deeply, when we breathe dynamically. Please note the word force or fast was never in that formula. And inhale, walk your way up. So moving a little bit from the sides and closer to the front of the body, let's lie on our back, have a roll or a block handy. And we'll start by bringing the feet off the ground. So if there is some heightened awareness of that lower waist area, just moving in and centrally to the front of the body, that's where our low belly and this movement may stimulate. Inhale, float the head and the shoulder blades off the ground. And then feel the tip of the tailbone shift toward the sky or away from the brain. Exhale, the left leg out. And this exhale occurs through the belly and through the throat. Pull the low belly down. And then inhaling, bend left knee. Breathing right between the hip bones. Curl tailbone, exhale, right leg reaches out. Focus right between the hip bones. Draw belly down. All right, let's do about 4 more on each side. So we're all familiar with these. Let's just continue at our own pace. One of the gifts of yoga, this is just my opinion, and it is kind of spoken about in a lot of texts, is that somehow in this act of bringing our awareness to bear in so many ways and places, this mindfulness, this noticing that begets more noticing, somehow we get clearer in our sensing capacities. And many people do experience sensory clarity, meaning there's less fogginess around what it is we see or hear or taste or sense, right? A lot of people will start to notice, wow, colors are brighter. Oh, I'm hearing things more clearly. Oh, I'm tasting things in my food that I haven't tasted before. So these have been, documented for centuries, for millennia. It's clarifying of the senses. And so one of the things I absolutely love about kind of the sobering effects of yoga is that clarifying of the senses, getting really clear on what it is we see, we sense, we smell, we feel, we taste, we touch, we know, we intuit, we vision. Good. Grab your block or whatever object can go right between the legs, about the width of the hips, and we'll go legs skyward. So I'm going to describe a move once you have your legs up with the roll between the legs. This is a hands-free move. Feel for piking or folding your thighs to your chest, but keep the legs vertical. I'll say it again. I'll say it a few times. Feel that you're pulling the thighs toward the belly, yet keep the legs vertical. Good. strongly engage those quads. And then just kind of ease off all of those cues I just offered, because that's how we'll go into these abdominals. These few extra cues may intensify things. Inhale into the low belly and the low back. Pausing, hold breath, squeeze object. Exhale, float the head, the shoulder blades off the ground, and then keeping the legs vertical, pull the thighs toward the chest. Reaching up through the inner legs, strongly engaging those quadriceps. Pull low belly down. And then inhaling, set the head down, relaxing the efforts on the roll or the object. Hold breath, squeeze, roll. Exhale, head and shoulders off the ground. Maintain the squeeze and feel that you're pulling, piking your thighs toward your rib cage. Like a fold that never folds. Pull low belly down. Inhale, set the head down. Hold breath, squeeze, roll. Pull the thighs toward the chest, but leave the legs vertical. Exhale the head and the shoulder blades off the ground. Increase the squeeze. Reach up through the inner legs. Pull low belly down. Inhale, set the head down. Do just a few more. Squeeze the object. Pull legs toward torso. Again, imagine you're folding your chest and your legs together, but keep the legs vertical. Exhale, float the head and the shoulder blades up. Fold, fold, bring the thighs right atop your navel, but leave the legs vertical. Pull low belly down. Squeezing, squeezing that roll. You can go into it. You can go in and feel your own guts. Inhale, set the head down. You'll do the last two. We'll do those on our own. I know it's a really strong hip and leg move. Find out if you can engage those quadriceps. I don't know how that's working out for you, Kara. But it's like a two-pronged movement. I'm pulling the legs toward me, but I'm straightening the legs. Straighten the knees. Use those quadriceps. Contract, contract. There you go. Keep going. Contract, contract. The squeeze will help you straighten the knees. And the straightening the knees will be assisted by pulling the thighs toward your chest. And those of you who have some sacral issues, I think you'll benefit from the piking move instead of the tailbone move. Cool. Release. We'll set that down. And let's turn over. We'll set up for Dolphin. So we got the elbows under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. Okay, curl the toe pads under first. And with the toe pads curled under, begin to pull. It'll feel like you're pulling the heels back, the shins back. You start to feel how you're priming the entire leg chain to lift the knees up. So I'm pulling with the toe pads, my heels slide back, my shins are starting to slide back, and I pull my knees away from the ground. Dolphin. So from the top of the toes to the top of the ankle to the front of that hip, that whole front of foot, leg, hip, is an enormously powerful and important athletic and just a wellness set of connections. So if I start in the toe joints and I feel the top of the toe joints kind of condensing toward the top of the ankle, I feel the top of the ankle condensing toward, foot and shin, that top of ankle condensing. Start to feel how that works and opens the back of the leg. There you go. That's it, Kara. That's it. Mm-hmm. There you go. That's it. And exactly, Kara. So now you can use the all of that foot and that ankle and that hip to lift the hips away from the shoulder. That's it. That's it. You feel how that whole toe, ankle, hip connection starts to affect the organs and the trunk in this pose. It's a really cool thing. Okay. All right, so leaving the right foot down, inhale, smoothly reach the left foot up. Now when we reach the left foot up, press through the ball of the foot. So changing the foot architecture a little bit. So now expand through the front of the left hip and expand through the top of the left ankle. Which is in contrast to the right leg. Let's switch sides. We'll set the left foot down. Allow that top of left ankle to condense. And then draw the right foot up. And expand through the front of the right hip. Expand through the top of the right ankle. So one of the things that we can perceive in our body is places that are opening and moving and shifting. We can also perceive places that are resistant to shift or change. There might be some places that just feel clustered and condensed in a more chronic way. Those are beautiful, beautiful things to notice. Good. Inhale, we'll set that right foot down, set the knees down. And if we're going fairly 100% with these leg moves, that's some pretty good zest. Now let's stand up. We'll take a wide stance. And we'll be working twisting horse. Okay, so I can use my feet to lower myself into horse, or I could just drop in and just drop my butt. Let me show you those both, just because we have that ability to transmit across the screen. So here's my toes and my ankles pulling me in, right? And here's me just kind of flopping in. You choose. Play with how you enter into the horse. You can use the top of your ankle, front of the hip, and you can enter in. There you go. And the hands on the thighs. Inhale into the low belly, the genitals, the pelvic floor. And then exhaling, straighten or press through the right hand. The chest turns to the left, the trunk. I'm suggesting that our active foot is not just a toe move, that it's an entire foot, ankle to hip movement. So when we invoke it, it's affecting the entire leg and into the spine. Otherwise, we'll just get some really interesting habits around the rigidity of the big toe. And I don't see any purposefulness in that. Inhale, unwind. I will switch to the other side. Exhaling, press left hand into left thigh. So we're twisting to our right. And inhale, unwind. We'll straighten up out of there. Heel toe the feet together. Now it's entirely up to you if you use a wall for additional balance, but we'll work standing splits, or where both hands grab right foot. We'll do right foot first. And we're working on straightening the leg out. Now, if you do straighten the leg, then we can play around with elevating it. Ooh. So I'm expanding through that front of that left hip as I'm actively condensing the front of the right hip. I'll say it again. So go off your left foot, Danny. Whichever way your left foot faces, that's which way your right leg faces, your navel faces, your nose faces. There you go. I want you to be able to have all that access to everything around your hip in a way that doesn't exploit the knee. Good. Release. We'll set that right foot down and we'll change sides. So when I set the right foot, the direction of the right foot is the direction I face and work the pose. And again, you might try actively condensing, drawing your own thigh toward your own chest, which is very different than just pulling the foot up. Lift your own thigh, pike your own left thigh to your navel. That's it, Molly. Expand through your own front right hip. That's it, Molly. That's it. That's it. Yeah, it's a very different pose for the pelvis, for sure. Good. Let's set that left foot down. So when we are moving through these next iterations of sun, there's that part where we're always stepping the foot forward. We can use the foot and that front of hip to pull and place the foot down, which is way different than just launching our leg forward and throwing it between our hands and hoping we land. Inhale, draw the arms up, expanding through the fronts of the hips. Not clutching, expanding. Exhale, fold forward, and you can actively condense in the fronts of the hips. It might feel really good on your back if you're back sensitive. Now inhale, we're stepping the left foot back. Actively draw the right thigh toward the trunk. Step the left foot back. Draw the arms up. So I can be active, condensing in that right hip, expanding in the left. Place the hands down, exhale, step right foot back. Now expand through the fronts of the hips as you lower. I'm not just letting my legs be any old way, expanding through the fronts of the hips as I move, inhaling into cobra. And feel how your buttock turns on. Exhaling, lower, slip the hands under the chest, curl the toes under, and I'll start it at the toes. The tops of the toes condense toward the ankle condenses. We move into downward dog. Now here's that stepping move. Inhale, draw, actively draw the left thigh toward the chest. Pull, 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 pull. Lift up right between the shoulder blades. Set that left foot down, lunge. Set the right knee down. Right hip expands. Hands to ground, exhale, step the right foot forward. Folding. So instead of just collapsing on the hip crease, involve that hip crease. Like let it help to be a part of the fold. Inhale, stand, reach the arms up overhead. Expanding the hips, exhaling, hands to heart. We'll talk through another. It'll be kind of methodical. In pace, inhale, reach up, expand through the fronts of the hips. Exhale, fold, condense the fronts of the hips to fold. Inhale, step the right foot back, lunge. Set the right knee down. Expand through the front of right hip. Notice I'm not saying create a stretch, just feel sensorially that there's an expansion, a movement toward opening. It may or may not have anything to do with stretch sensation. Hands to ground. Exhale, step left foot back. Expand through the fronts of the hips as you lower. Expand through the fronts of the hips as you inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower, hands under chest. Begins in the palms and the toe pads. Tops of ankles. Fronts of hips draw you back into downward dog. Okay, now here's that stepping move. Inhale, draw that right thigh actively into the navel. Setting the foot. There you go, nice, Kara. Lunge. The left knee is down, expanding through the front of the left hip, drawing the arms up, hands to ground. Exhale, step the left foot forward, fold. Use those hip flexors, actively pull your belly and your thigh together. Inhale, stand. Actively draw your belly and your thighs away from one another. Exhaling, hands to heart. We'll do two more. I may have been talking through that slowly, so please, let's continue at our own pace. And today I'm suggesting and emphasizing of actively moving apart and moving together this area. You can just, the front of the hip crease. There you go, Danny, that's it. There it is. Yes. Yeah, that's it, Kara. in my mind, in my body, this makes an enormous difference in how the pelvis is oriented, and so how my spine feels. So I hope it works out. There you go, Kara. That's really sweet. That's the move. There you go. One of the ways to play with energy, one of the ways that's taught in many, many, many Eastern energy systems, Tai Chi and all of these, is the compressible, expandable, what we Westerners would call air, right? But to feel that we're compressing and expanding the places in and in between body parts, right? We can compress our field and expand our field. And just like a good unclogging of anything, we kind of push and pull and push and pull. Often we start to massage things into circulation, into movement. It's a wonderful way of moving blood and lymph through our body. To become a human washcloth, absorbing and squeezing, absorbing, expressing, absorbing, expressing. I'll just give you these are my thought experiments. So they may not have any actual bearing or they may not be important to reality, but as a thought experiment, this is kind of how I think about things, is what if for every hour of absorption, taking in details, learning from an external source, what if for every hour of absorption, I had to commit an hour of expression, art, silence, yoga, right? You know, how would that shift our day-to-day just balance of things, sensing, synthesis, right? So I wonder just how those scales of what we ingest versus what we're sitting on and meditating and fomenting and expressing, how those work together. All right, a new sun. Chair pose. Inhale, bend knees. Pull the thighs and the belly toward each other to pull the butt downward. Exhale, fold forward, still pulling the thighs and the belly together. So engage those thighs. So a really deep, strong crease in the fronts of the hips. Inhale, monkey. Lift the chest away from the lap. Exhaling, step or lightly jump back, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Expand the tops of the hips for the easiest upward dog on the back. Create a lot of ease for the back. Exhaling, downward dog. Now in downward dog, we'll remain just a couple additional breaths. Expand through the elbow crease. Engage through the quads And it doesn't matter if the legs, the knees straighten or not. Engage the quads and pull thigh and belly toward one another. So there's that piking move. Pike your butt back. There you go. That's it, Kara, that's it. Inhale the right foot forward. Head to ankle prep. So we're going right hand to right thigh. Left hand can go to ground or block if it's easier. Okay. Now, I'm using the top of my right foot to pull my butt into this warrior. Inhale into the right side pelvis. Exhale, right hand presses. Biasing this right side waist. You got it. That's it, Kara. Relax the lips. Relax the back of the brain. The hips don't really need the lips' help. So we can be quite at ease in the lips. I release. Inhale, walk the hands toward the right foot as we prepare for pyramid. So I'm bringing my blocks out. Now pyramid, legs 3 feet apart. Hips face the narrow edge, the front of your mat, and we fold. Now again, I can just flop fold. It's a really nice passive hanging out move. I'm going to crease. I'm going to condense in the fronts of hips, bringing sternum over my right leg, creating a more of a side bend effect. I'm saying more. If I just drop my sternum right between my heels, it's a back of the leg effect. And you can just feel how if your sternum tracks over your right shin, it's more of a side, it gets into the sides of the body. All right, bend that right knee. Inhale, step left foot forward, standing pigeon. Come all the way up. Expand through the fronts of the hips and then grab that right foot. Grab it with both hands. And this too, the direction of my left toes is the direction of my pose. So however my left foot is set, that's the way my navel faces. So having that big toe down on the ground is quite beneficial. So we're not just weather veining around our knee. There you go. Active feet and active toes are really great, but if you're trying to solve for ankle and knee and hip situations, it's really nice to work with the big toe on the ground. There's so much of our gait and our contralateral gait, the swinging, it begins in the big toe. If you have had a consistent Forrest practice and you just have adopted a big toe up, the challenge for us might be to feel the big toe stay down. Like that might be a really bleeding edge move for those learned feet. All right, inhale, we'll set that right foot down. Exhaling chaturanga, step back and expand through the fronts of the hips as we inhale, upward dog. As you feel, as I expand through the hips, my buttock muscles turn on. Exhaling, downward dog. Inhale, step the left foot forward for head to ankle prep. I'm using the top of my foot, the top of my ankle to pull my butt in. It's just one option. Set the right hand down. Inhale into the left side waist. I hope we're doing a few things today to kind of get into that waist, low belly, low waist, low side area. It can be such a boon to our low backs and our hips. I use that left foot to pull, like I'm pulling my butt down, but I'm not physically moving my butt down anymore. So I'm using that left foot. Remember how there's that difference between just going down, letting down, and pulling our way in. When we draw our way down, that's using the foot, the ankle, the heel. It's a totally different use of the hip. So try it out, Danny. Just very, very lightly. Take the hand off. I get the impression that you're just kind of staving off the depth. Now use that top of your left ankle. Pull your butt down. Pull. There you go. Now set that hand down, hand down. Now keep actively pulling your butt like you're trying to sit really strongly into a cushion. You're trying to indent a chair with your butt. Pull your butt into the cushion. Your left one, your left butt, pull it in. There you go. There you go. Deep breath. Good. Let's do pyramid. Inhaling, step, wiggle the right foot forward. Walking the hands toward the left foot. Hips square or face front. Exhale, fold. Okay. So just like our abdominals, I can condense the front of the hip, engage the quads of the leg, pull thigh to belly, belly to thigh. That is an enormous amount of work for a lot of legs. So if I'm actively condensing, drawing the thigh to the belly to the thigh, and I'm engaging the quadriceps, strongly straightening the knee. Yes, there you go. There you go, Karen. Good, and breathing into the low back. That might really get some things rattling in the legs. Good. Bend that left knee. Inhale, step the right foot forward, stand. As you stand, feel the fronts of the hips. Expand, expand, expand. Now, reach for the left foot. Standing pigeon. The way my right toe is facing, that's the direction of the pose. You're all done. Good. Condense that front part of the ankle, the outer and the front part. Danny. It's like you're pulling your littlest toe toward your kneecap. Yep, keep going. Pull the littlest toes, the last 2, 3 littlest toes toward your kneecap. Pull them back. No, the other way. Toward your kneecap. Toward your kneecap. Don't push them, pull them. Let your foot do it. Pull, pull, pull. Now start to turn the toes toward the sky. So it's right here. Right here. Instead of pulling on it like a rolled ankle, condense like you're unrolling your ankle. Right there. There you go. There you go. Set that left foot down. Exhaling, chaturanga. The step back. Inhale, upward dog. Press down through the tops of the feet, expanding the fronts of the hips. Exhaling, downward dog. And gently sit the knees down. Have a seat. We're going to take 2 positions, shoelace, doesn't matter which side. You start with first, and I like that. Interlace the hands behind the back. Option 1, let me turn so you can see. Option 1 is remain right here. So just being very tall. Option 2 is fold. I think it's pretty interesting when we fold without using our hands. We have to navigate using all of our internals. Okay, inhale, come upright. We'll do the other side, so switching the legs. Same move for the arms. I mean, you can interlace the fingers differently on this side. Yeah. Option 1 is remain upright, sending the knuckles away from the ears. Option 2 is hinging forward. I said hinge, so it's not the same as round. And inhale, come on up, unwind. And let's lie back for a brief shavasana. So please do lie back. And feel all these areas in your body that are able to absorb breath effortlessly. So you're sensing all of those areas in your body that are open, receptive, is really important to our bodies when there's the perception of openness, that we guard well and choose carefully what gets to come into those openings. Because nature doesn't like a vacuum. Nature patterns can just fill right back in. It's so important to our biology that we have time to absorb, time to express, time for it all to marinate and synthesize and organize. When you're ready, bend knees. It's very soft, soft in the hips, soft in the knee. Turn to one side and press up. Namaste.